A&P. See how the rotation shake out tonight against Oklahoma City. Big game at Chase Center. The Oklahoma City Thunder right now clinging to that 10th spot in the Western Conference with Shai Gilgeous-Alexander, Shasky's new favorite player. He gets to the free throw line. He got to the free throw line 17 times on Sunday against Phoenix. He's a problem. Lou Dort's going to be playing. Josh Giddey. Desperate team coming into Chase Center to take on the Warriors as they try to get back on track. We'll take your calls in just a second. 888-957-9570. But we got Jason Dumas, Philly's finest, in the building. Of course, he had to wear that Phillies hat. They haven't won a game yet this season.
Oh, man. I think I read they're the first team that went to the World Series and started off 0-4 the next year.
Not good.
Yeah, they're not looking great. Not looking great at all.
Reese Hoskins hurting himself on that ground ball to the left. I mean, it was the most random. It was just a basic ground ball slightly to the left, and he just collapsed.
Yeah, towards ACL.
It was brutal.
Yeah.
Well, and the
really
Bryce
brutal.
Harper injury.
Well, they're saying Bryce is going to come back way sooner than everybody predicted.
Oh, that's
He's
good.
going to be taking live batting practice in a couple weeks.
Oh,
so.
I love that because Bryce is needed. Bryce
I
has
wanted
had
him on the WBC team.
Yeah, Bryce has been spectacular with Philadelphia. He had a great run in the postseason. Bryce has been, you know what, for all the expectations and hype that he got, because it was kind of similar, not as high as LeBron James, but he was on Sports Illustrated as a high school player, played in that JUCO. He's kind of lived up to the expectations. He's been a great baseball player.
He's had a hell of a career. A hell of a career. Considering that only 27% of top 2 picks actually make it to all-star level in the major leagues, that's the ratio of number 2 overall picks over the last, 60 or 70 years. He's had a hell of a career.
No doubt.
An MVP. I mean, he's a stud.
We got Dumas in the building, man. He's probably the flyest dressed guy in media. I get jealous. I think I'm doing something, and then you see Dumas on Crawl 4. He's got some Kobe's on. He's got pocket squares. He got ties, white collars. Dude, I'm not touching this guy, man.
Bro,
That's that TV experience.
Trying to keep pace with you. I seen those 11s you had on the other day.
Well, shout out to 1985 Gallery.
Daly City, right?
Yeah, Daly City, Westlake. We get you tapped in, Dumas. Don't worry. We got you locked. We got you locked in.
Jason, I want to start here because
Have you put on the 11s yet, Shasky?
I haven't even put them on yet.
Oh.
Well, no, that's a lie. I put them on to make sure that they fit, and then I put them right back because I did not want to crease them. My boy Rocco was telling me you can't crease. I don't own Jordans. I don't have any Jordans. It's not my jam.
He's an Adidas guy.
Yeah.
Adidas. I'm not mad at that, though.
Yeah, it's okay. I stay in my lane. Adidas boosts. Jason, I want to start here. I consider you a journalist. Do you consider yourself one?
Yes, absolutely.
Okay, I do not consider myself a journalist at any level. Never been in a classroom learning it. I'm an entertainer. I give opinions. We talk about sports, blah, 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 blah. The journalism surrounding the absence of Andrew Wiggins, I have found, as a casual observer of journalism from afar and as someone who consumes it, I have found it to be fascinating. Shams Charania comes out with the tweet yesterday. Not only does he say that Wiggins is coming back, he explains why he was out, and it felt like I was asking the question to Bonte, had a local person, whether it be television, beat reporter, etc., come out with that same information, I feel like there would have been some outrage regarding the privacy portion of it. Am I reading that wrong?
No, you're absolutely correct. There's a lot of politics in the breaking news game, and I've learned that over the past couple of years. You're right, because for the past 2 months, all we've been told is it's a private matter. Mm-hmm. Don't dig. Give him his space, and from a human aspect, I get it. Mm-hmm. And I also don't want to be the guy who might break some news that might make Andrew Wiggins uncomfortable in his family life, his personal life. That's not why I do this. But at the same time, how all of a sudden is it okay? It was so private for 2 months, and then obviously it gets leaked to Shams, Woj. I don't know who leaks it, whether it's the Warriors, whether it's someone from Andrew Wiggins' camp. It's just if you're paying attention, it's wait, so it was private for 2 months.
Yeah.
No one could talk about it. No one could break this news.
Yeah.
But then all of a sudden it's not private anymore. This was what was going on.
So you can see where I'm confused. I'm one of the consumers of this. I'm following along, and we talk about stuff, and it's filled with landmines, right? Because you want to be sensitive. You don't want to say something that sounds or is interpreted by the audience that we're trying to dive into someone's personal life. I found it ironic, or not ironic, I found it kind of sad that Shams breaks it and not a peep about the privacy portion.
Yeah, no. It's, Shams, Woj, those guys work hard, and I guess they deserve to be on the platform where they are, especially Shams. I read like a story on Shams, like where he got his start. Like that man hustles. But it's kind of like at this point in their career, they don't break news because they're out hustling people anymore. It's just the way the game works.
So you're saying it's coming to them?
Oh yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
Agents, players, doesn't matter, executives, and I thought it was weird. It's like, oh, so now you're just going to put the man's business out there, and I put myself in those shoes where I did go to journalism school, and I was just thinking, man, I would have just knowing the human element, knowing the player, knowing that I have to cover this player all the time. Hey, he's been out due to personal reasons, 22 games. He's going to near his return. He's coming back to the Bay Area. That's that. I don't think you needed to add the extra stuff, but I want to ask you, though, because you've broken a lot of news. And we broke, when you sent me, I saw your tweet Friday, when you said, hey, Andrew Wiggins will come back to the Bay Area. And there was not a doubt in my mind. I was like, Jason Dumas knows what's up.
Yes.
Because you've been right on a lot of things. The Philadelphia Sixers and everything going on with Ben Simmons. How does that make you feel when you don't get the credit you deserve for breaking some of these stories? And Woj and Shams will come out with something that you said 5 months prior, because that would eat me up. I would be pissed off.
It used to. Like, when I first started breaking news, it used to burn me up. Like, dang, I said that like 3 days ago. Literally go look at my timeline.
You got to screenshot it and show people, say, hey, look at me over here. It's not that you're chasing for clout, but it's like, yo, I said this and I'm in the game.
You guys follow me on social media.
Yes.
I used to always post the screenshots. So, like, right after the ESPN Woj report would come out or a Shams report would come out, I would screenshot my tweet with a timestamp. Like, yo, I literally said that 3 days ago. But I just started to learn the ins and out of breaking news. And once you start getting a little higher and who gets fed what info and when people break stuff, it is all very calculated. So I started to realize there's some stuff I just can't control. You know what I mean? Like, I'm not in that room with those people. I'm not going to get that intel. Like, you just got to control what you can control. And, like, getting love from you guys, like, I appreciate that. You know what I mean?
Well, that's the problem that I have in journalism these days. I was taught to give credit when credit is due. And it's not about being first. It's about being accurate.
Yeah.
And I see a lot of people who just jack stuff from shows, newspapers, everything. Like, I swear. And I'm just like, it doesn't hurt to give somebody some credit. Loveman will send me something. I got no problem going on here. I'll go on TV like, hey, Sam Loveman send me this nugget. The Warriors are plus minus, blah, 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 blah. It's no issue with that. I think you get more props by doing that, by citing those people. But we're so thirsty as a society that it's just like, oh, we can't give this person credit. We're just going to use it. Like Warriors PR will send us a bunch of stuff, and I'll see people, they'll cite the stuff, and it's like, well, that came directly from the Warriors. Yeah, give them some credit.
We all got that in our email. It was a press release. We all got it. Oh, you see that all the time, too. But, yeah, like, as long as I have respect from my peers and I believe at the end of the day, I'm doing good work and I'm doing the most I can do.
Yeah.
That's all that really matters. That's all I can control,
Well, it's interesting because you were at you had a real good feel for what was going on with the Ben Simmons thing, right? And that's all the way across the country. And I know you have so many deep ties on the East Coast, specifically in Philadelphia. And it feels like how we covered the Ben Simmons stuff, how it was being reported, things like that, was very different than what the Warriors, their team was saying, how we covered it. And I find it fascinating. Like, I remember when we heard about the whole incident at practice, there were rumors and things. It's probably not good. And all of a sudden the video comes out, right? So you've been around this team for a long, long, long time. Had you ever seen anything like this Wiggins situation?
No, I haven't. And look, I'll be honest, Wiggs is lucky he was playing over here on the West Coast.
Why do you say that?
Because they would have put pressure on him.
We know.
New York, Philly, Boston, whether it's right or wrong, that's irrelevant.
You just think that's the reality of those situations.
Oh, yeah. They would have needed it. All right, so it's been 2 months almost now. Like, what's up? Like, you know what I mean? Like, so it was just interesting to see how the Warriors handled it over here versus how I think a team would have to handle it on the East Coast, and the fan reaction and the fans' response. And then just all the theatrics and messaging, like, on social media, like, kind of who can do what, who needs to do this.
The virtue signaling.
Yeah, the virtue signaling.
It was driving me crazy.
Oh, my. It was nuts. Like, you know what? Look, Andrew Wiggins is entitled to his privacy. I firmly believe that.
Agreed.
Yep.
We don't have to dig and do this and do that. But at some point, people wondering when arguably the second best player on the team is coming back. There's nothing wrong with that.
Right.
I agree with you.
There's absolutely nothing wrong with that. No one should be shamed for asking questions. No one's asking, well, hey, who did what and what?
Right.
When is he coming back?
Yeah,
Is there going to be something?
We wanna see
Is he
this-
coming back?
Yeah,
Right.
do we have
Yes.
anything more than is a private matter? Like, there would have been a lot more pressure to give some responses in different cities. So that's I mean, I'm not even saying that's a bad thing. Like, the Warriors are a players first organization, and that's what's going to keep them relevant and I think successful beyond Steph Curry. He's helped, just transform this organization into such a destination. So I'm sure players across the league noticed all the privacy that Andrew Wiggins was afforded and just the luxury because, shoot, some organizations might have been like, bro, you got to get back. Like,
no doubt.
Or players on the team. Like that's what we were talking about. I've been in work situations where someone's like, hey, I understand you're going through this tragedies, you know what I mean, at home, and we don't know what the Wiggins thing is, but like tragedy, and they're like, but I need you on the job site on Monday because we have to complete this project.
Right.
Like there's these weird human balances that people do.
That's a great point, though, about players around the league. Because now they see that.
Yeah, I hadn't considered
And they're like,
that.
you know what? That's first-class organization. I need to go play for
100%.
them. And that's why the Warriors have been beneficial to getting these guys on the mid-level contracts and the one-year deal saying, hey, I want to go play with them because they treat us right. That's a great point about Andrew Wiggins. By the way, 650 Comcast Business Text Line. Got a new nickname for you, Dumas.
What's that?
Nickname for Jason is The Outlet. Because he's always plugged in. The
I like that.
I kind of like that.
I kind of like that.
The Outlet.
I kind of
Whenever
like
I see him in
that.
Chase, The Outlet.
Is he Wes Unseld?
He's Wes Unseld with those fast with the 1-2 bullets. Oh, man. So that's pretty good. That's pretty good. So, Dumas, you reported Friday that Andrew Wiggins was in the Bay Area. And I had a lot of people say, well, why is this news? Why is this news? I firmly believe him coming to the Bay Area, it piqued all our interest saying,
Hell
wait,
yeah.
he's back in the Bay? That must mean one or two things. One, he's either grabbing his stuff and gathering his stuff to leave, which I don't think was going to happen, or he's getting ready to ramp up because the Warriors are starting to send us tea leaves about trainers going up there to work him out. So when you got that report, how did you feel pressing send on that tweet to put it out there? Because you knew you were going to get a lot of heat for it.
oh, yeah, for sure. It's funny. Before I hit send, I reached out to a couple mentors who I trust.
Yeah.
I'm like, yo, this is the info I have. It's rock solid. How should I phrase it? Should I put it out? What do you think? And I got two goes, like two people who I know care for me beyond this whole journalism stuff, just like as a person, like, yeah, send that out. So I sent it out, and obviously, it took off like rapid fire. But when I got the intel, I knew something told me, like, he's coming back soon. I didn't know when. That's why I didn't add any of it. He could play. I had no idea. But I just had this feeling that he was going to play soon based on how I received the information in the context of that information. And that's what gave me a lot of confidence as well. Like, all right, he's coming back. I don't know if it's going to be this coming game. Maybe it'll be against the Kings on Friday. But we're going to see Wiggins again. I heard he was in great spirits.
Good.
That's good.
That's good.
Back. It was like he's coming back. So I felt confident. I didn't feel like I was crossing any lines in terms of his privacy either. And 3 days later, we get told he's going to join the team.
Yeah.
So,
I love it. You've been covering the team. I see you out at the arena all the time. I joke with this guy that you two are there more than even the players are, it feels like.
He's there a lot more. What he's done,
always there.
and I told Dumas this, I think it's genius. And it's something that I would have done if I wasn't working on TV. It's going to see the road team.
Yeah.
I used to always be in that road locker room talking to the players coming in and getting their thoughts about the Warriors or whatnot. And I think that's been beneficial for Dumas big time. That's going to the practice all the time. I don't have to tell him. He knows what he's doing.
Bro, the road stuff is great because I don't know what it is, but you get, first of all, the access when you're covering the road team, like, no one's there.
Yeah.
No one's
You
there.
can just talk. And
So
even with the
opposing
Warriors,
media isn't there, or the other team's
The
media
Warriors
isn't there?
beat writers are not there.
Sometimes the
Okay.
opposing team's media there. It might be a couple beat writers. There's never like a TV crew or there, so you can kind of get a lot of FaceTime. And it was the same during the playoff one with the Warriors.
Yeah.
When in Dallas, you're sitting at shoot around, like you get unlimited access. It's just great. So, and the players are a little more relaxed for some reason when they're on the road, and it's just a way more casual atmosphere. And you can get. I wanted to. They canceled their shoot around today. Well, I shouldn't say they canceled it. I don't want to get misquoted. They're not having shoot around today. The Thunder. I wanted to go catch the Thunder and talk to Jalen Williams, Santa Clara
guy,
alum. He's having a great year.
Great year.
But that just kind of fell through. We've developed a relationship with him at Kron's from back when he was in college. But yeah, hitting the road shoot arounds have always been fun.
Well, so, okay, like from a narrative standpoint, when I look at the Warriors season as a whole, I mean, this feels like any given Sunday. Like the amount of storylines that they're trying to jam pack into one season. You're reigning champs. Clay doesn't play any 5-on-5 all summer. Obviously, they go to Tokyo, Tokyo, where I don't even remember.
Tokyo, Japan.
Yeah, Tokyo, Japan, excuse me. They come back and you have the incident at practice. You've got the extensions for Wiggins and Jordan Poole. You've got the GM, whether he's going to come back or not. The head coach looking for an extension. Draymond, whether he opts in. It has been
GP2 coming back.
Wiseman. Kuminga's minutes.
Anthony Lamb.
I mean, pick the story. This has been one of the most incredible seasons in terms of content I can ever think of.
And it's funny, as we're rolling into the playoffs, it seems like things are coming together from a roster point of view.
It's insane.
From a roster point of view. I'm still not comfortable with how they're playing on the road and how they're just dropping games they should win on the road. But, with this team, I'm the type, you got to prove me wrong.
Yep.
And Clay, Dre, Steph, they've never lost in a Western Conference playoff series when they're all available. And knock on wood, it looks like they'll all be available. So I'm going to ride with the Warriors. That's just how I bet. You know what I mean? You got to prove me wrong.
Right.
I'd rather them lose with me riding with them than me being the guy that this is going to be the year and it's not the year.
It was like that with the Patriots for me. When I was gambling on football heavy, it was patch or pass. I'm either betting on Tom Brady or I'm sitting it out.
Right.
I'm not going to be the fool to bet against Belichick and company.
I like
just
that.
not going to
Patch or pass.
That's
like
what it
that.
was for years when they were winning all those championships. But you're right about the Warriors. I don't like the form either. I thought San Antonio Friday night, I thought it was a lousy basketball game.
Oh, absolutely.
For 3 quarters, they just were sleepwalking. They turned it up in the fourth quarter versus Spurs, one of the worst teams in the league. Can they put together 48 minutes? It'd be nice to see them do that once over the last 3 games.
Yeah. If they can go 3-0 in these final 3, kind of gain some momentum, get a win in Sacramento, where, in my opinion, they'll probably be playing next week, I think that would be huge. Just to say, all right, we finished this season with 2 road wins at Sac, at Portland. Let's get it done. We got our horses back. Come on.
Wiggins, how long do you think it's going to take for him to ramp up here?
Not long.
Game, 2 games.
Guy's young, in shape, runs like a gazelle. He's been working out the entire time. Like, he's going to be cool.
So, who do you think most? Because I was asking him, like, what's the trickle down effect here? Who benefits on court? Whose minutes get adjusted? What does it look like?
I think Anthony Lamb's minutes will be adjusted a bit with Wiggins coming back in the fold. I think the guy who will have to adapt the most, and he's had to adapt the most all season, which I think he's kind of an unsung hero for because you never hear a peep out of it, is Dante DiVincenzo.
I love Dante, yeah.
Just, he does his job. He does what he's told to do.
Right.
And he's a worker. So I think he's had to adjust the most with GP2 coming back. I think it'll be the same with Wiggins, but Dante is so talented. It might take 2-3 games, but he'll figure it out. Then he'll find that niche. And he'll get in where he fit in. That's what he does.
I like that, too. Him coming off the bench alongside Jordan Poole, alongside Jonathan Kuminga, because you saw earlier in the year, it felt like DiVincenzo settled down Jordan Poole, and Jordan Poole really took off once DiVincenzo slid over in the backcourt with him up with that second unit. Then Kuminga, who's got all the experience now with Wiggins being out, it does help him because his 3-point shot has failed him lately. 29% in the month of March, Dante, but he's playing a lot of minutes and he's playing a lot of different combinations.
So I want to make sure we clarify because people on YouTube chat want to. You heard that he was working out the entire time, Andrew Wiggins?
Oh yeah,
okay.
Yeah, he's been working out.
Interesting. I think that's a big development because I think part of when guys come back from injuries, sometimes they can't do any workouts, whatsoever, and they have to ramp themselves up. So, that kind of changes.
That's
things
huge. But
for me,
you bring up Wiggins, also the perimeter defense, right? And all of a sudden, you get out there in the playoff series.
You've got weapons.
GP2 Wiggins,
DiVincenzo,
Kuminga, who's playing really well. And when he plays 27 minutes, I'm like, let this guy play 25 to 27 minutes. It's time.
I hope Kuminga's leash, obviously, just naturally, he's not going to be able to do as much with Wiggins on the court because Wiggins needs the ball to do some things. But I hope Kuminga, there's no messaging to him to say you got to reel it in a little because I hope he continues to have the leash that he's had over the past couple of weeks. I hope he gets a lot of opportunities because he strikes me as a guy, he plays better when he gets those opportunities and he's free a little. Like when you kind of regulate him and you can only play 13 minutes, you got to make the most of those 13 minutes. He might check out a little bit.
Well, remember I told you Steve Kerr, I thought he trusted him in that Pelicans game. He got the 2 quick fouls, didn't play much of the first half. Next thing you know, you look at the box score, and he played 31 minutes. I thought that was a big growth moment for J.K. and Steve Kerr in trusting Jonathan Kuminga.
Offensively, when he is afraid to make a mistake, he's at his worst. You know what I mean? It's just so obvious. Where he's like, I have to make this pass. I'm afraid to even take a hard dribble in because he's one of their only guys that can actually slash and dunk at the rim, and that's another reason why Wiggins is so important. All year, though, like I want to take a step back. All year, there's been this young guys versus old guys. And it's kind of like a tug and pull and back and forth. What are you noticing at like the downtimes of practice? Are you seeing this great divide amongst the team, or you think too much has been made of that?
No, I definitely think there's the divide is probably not the right word because that like gives connotations that they don't like each other.
Yeah,
but there's definitely you can tell there's definitely different groups on the team.
Is that exclusive to the Warriors?
No.
Okay.
Like every team probably.
Yeah, that's why I'm asking.
It's NBA. Like I was at shoot around and for the Sixers when they were here at Chase and they were playing music, and I remember PJ Tucker was like making fun of what Maxey wanted to listen to. He's like, turn this off. Like, you know what I mean?
Right.
It's
like LeBron
big
James.
Age difference between those two.
Like LeBron James is over there with AD and the youngsters are over here. It is what it is.
I think Draymond told a story last year. You guys probably heard it, or it was in the beginning of this year. He's like, I'll just walk past Jonathan Kuminga and he'll start laughing at me. And I'm like, what the hell is he laughing at? And then I realize it's just because, like, I'm so much older than this cat. He's just laughing at me like, look at this old dude without any swag. Like, that's just how they are. I think that's more an NBA thing.
Gotcha.
Because you got these vets like, like Steph's, 34 years old?
34, 35 years old.
35.
35.
And then how old is Patrick?
4 kids.
Yeah, Patrick Baldwin Jr., 19?
Yeah, like, they're
looks
just
like he can't
worlds.
shave.
Yeah, just different worlds.
Yeah, that's a good point. No, because like I just keep going back to like there's so much pressure on the young guys to like prove that they belong and help be the fountain of youth for the old guys, right? And as their primes start to go down a little, you were hoping that the youngsters would raise their game and take on greater responsibility. And it feels like the Wiseman thing, it just didn't fit, right? For a variety of things. And so I want to stop there. Like, was he such an outlier, or was it just production? Was it they needed to have somebody to come contribute? What was your feel on the Wiseman situation?
I never really loved that pick. One, because like the way the Warriors always won, they had kind of a platoon, like big who they could just plug in. They didn't need a big who kind of needed a whole lot of time to develop. He didn't need the ball all the time. Wiseman needed the ball. He needed to develop, and they just weren't on that timeline. So that's why I was like, you guys never needed that. Why did you take that in the draft? Now, hindsight's 2020. There's no need to go back to who they should have picked and whatnot. But it just wasn't a great fit. That's what I always thought it was. First and foremost, it wasn't a great fit, and that proved to be right. And they'll be okay. They didn't hit on that draft, but if you look at the drafts around that, they hit on a bunch of those drafts too, Poole and stuff. So Kuminga. So
I think PBJ is going to be a player down the line. Don't you?
I think
he's got great feel.
Pro.
He's like a legit 7-footer now.
Right.
Too.
Yeah.
It's actually nuts. And he's one of those guys. He's just quiet, but he works really, really hard.
He's a gym rat.
He's another one of those guys. Like he's always in the gym. It's like PBJ, Steph, obviously, Poole. Like those three are always getting up shots, and I'm just sitting down there in the gym just watching, and so one of those guys. Like I never worried about Poole, any of his slumps, cause like he works too hard to not really get it, and it's the same thing with PBJ, and PBJ just hasn't even really gotten any opportunity.
No, I agree with that.
So like. When he gets his opportunity, even if it looks a little fluky or awkward in the beginning, I think he'll figure it out because he works hard.
I want to go back to Wiseman for a second because you mentioned how it wasn't a good pick. And I think the Warriors made that pick with the mindset that, hey, we don't know how long Steph's going to be around because he was banged up and people thought there was going to be a drop-off with his production. We couldn't be more wrong about that. Draymond Green obviously had a rough 2019 season with all the youngsters. They won 15 games. And so you're right in the sense that all their centers were asked to screen, pass, block shots, be a bruiser. It's been the way. It's like the Bulls in the 90s when they had their three-headed monsters. But then it felt like the Warriors were like, you know what? There's this athletic big who could do so many things offensively. If we just give him the ball, isolation, he's going to cook. And that injury last year really set Wiseman back with this team. It really did. But they win the championship without him, and there wasn't much of a need for him. I think it's good that both parties have mutually moved on. He's playing better in Detroit. I don't get caught up in the plus-minus on the record because we know they're trying to lose games. But it felt like the Warriors were thinking like, man, you know what? Remember that time we had Chris Webber? Remember, you see all these bigs here. He's so dynamic, and he can score 20 in his sleep. But in the sense that, wait a minute. You don't ask your centers to do that. And, yeah, it set him back. It set the team back. And it just felt like the players around him was like, look, this is not going to work.
Yeah,
and the veterans will tell you, like, yo, you can't play this dude on the floor.
Exactly. I'm not sure the Warriors front office considered the human element.
No.
Like, Curry, Clay, Draymond, like, time is of essence for them. You know what I mean? Like, we want to win. We want to win now. We don't really want to wait around for this guy to develop. When he's on the floor, we're worse. Like, what are we going to do?
Yeah.
And I think that pressure slowly got to Lacob, and Lacob, pulled the trigger because we know that was his baby.
That was his baby. But Lacob is first to tell everybody it wasn't just me.
Well,
he's taking the hits for it.
But I think also, like, all of us also miscalculated how many prime years of Steph Curry had left. And like, I think it was fair to be like, is Clay ever going to return? What's he going to look like when he returns? Dre, how much longer does Dre have? Like, there was a lot of things that I think they outperformed in terms of expectations of those big three that kind of recalibrated the dire situation to win now. How about Jordan Poole? Because, like, I think he is the easiest person for people to criticize, and it's kind of unfair at this point where he's available every game. He's played off the bench, starter, back to the bench, starter again. Oh, he dribbles too much. Oh, he shoots bad shots. Like, yes, he's a he's younger right now than when Steph Curry made their deep run that first year in the playoffs in 2012, 2013. I don't think people recognize that. And Curry, you could say, was more seasoned coming out of college because he had the one extra year. I don't know, man. I feel like Jordan Poole has had a really solid season given how critical we've been of him.
Well, Steve says he thinks Jordan's playing his best stretch of basketball of the season right now, which I tend to agree with. He's had a couple 20, I think he's had like 4 or 5 20-point games in the last 6 games or whatnot. I think the only fair criticism that Jordan gets is he's too loose with the ball, especially late.
For sure.
Right. Like,
isn't that the Curry calling card?
Yeah, but even Steph at least, like, Steph will turn the ball over, trying to make like a crazy pass or make a play.
Yes.
Jordan will like just turn the ball over because he's loose with his dribble.
Well, he'll just fall.
Yeah, it's like
fall.
Yeah, you got to be strong with the ball, especially down the stretch. But other than that, when he goes through shooting slumps, maybe when he gets a little trigger happy, you got to let him be him. Like, that's just the way he plays. And like I said, if the work didn't match like the bravado on the court, that would be a problem. Mm-hmm. You notice no one's ever really like hinted or alluded to like Jordan Poole needs to pass more. Jordan Poole needs to get the open shooter look. No, they let him do that because they see him in the gym working his tail off. So when the work ethic is there, you got a little more equity for the BS.
Do you think
and they know that he balled out last year when Curry was out.
Right.
And he earned everybody's trust saying, oh, yeah, this guy's a dude. Mm-hmm. We needed Riley around this young fella going to the G League and coming back and having the month of March he had last year. Jason Dumas live in studio from Crown 4. He does a great job covering Bay Area sports. He's tapped into the college network, does a great job with that. As San Diego State lost yesterday, but they had a couple Bay Area cats. They played hard yesterday against UConn. UConn was just better. You are listening to 95.7 The Game. KGMZ FM and HG1 San Francisco, always live on the free Odyssey app. Download the Odyssey app and favorite 95.7 The Game for the best and most up-to-date sports coverage. We'll get into quarterback stuff in a second here, but speaking of Jordan Poole.
I have a couple more Jordan Poole questions.
Yeah. Well, Jordan Poole, fourth quarter, over 50% from the floor in the fourth quarter the last 4 nights. I'm not going to count the game against Denver or whatnot. Didn't play much, 19 minutes and 43 seconds. But I think Jordan Poole this year, considering everything he's gone through, has gotten the short end of the stick from most of the fans. And some media members, too, in terms of the slander. I mean, this guy's had to play with how many different combinations coming off the second unit? He's had to start games. He's had to come off the bench. And then one day you're playing with Wiseman and Moody. Next day you're playing with Kuminga and Anthony Lamb. Or you're playing next to Ty Jerome. And I do think he has suffered the most from all these different lineup changes this year with the Warriors.
Oh, yeah, it's the lineup changes. I mean, but that's the thing. Like you said, like the best thing about him too, or no, I think you said it, Shasky, his availability
Every game
through all of that, he's been available.
Durable.
And now we talked a lot about privacy with Andrew Wiggins earlier.
Right.
Beginning of the season, Jordan Poole had to suffer through a very public moment that was embarrassing.
Right.
Like, let's not skate around it.
Absolutely.
That's embarrassing. You got punched in the face and everybody saw it.
Yeah, professionally and personally.
Well, and then the team came out and said, we got to find the person who leaked the video.
Yeah,
And it was like, wait, what about Jordan Poole? What
Right.
about his well-being?
Yeah.
So, like, you know, like I feel fine talking about that because we all saw it. There's no secret. There's no need to walk on eggshells. Like, we all saw that video. A lot of people would react differently. Like, for a while, you couldn't even go on Instagram without, like, jokes of Jordan Poole getting punched in the face.
It was
point.
bad.
He never showed
Yeah.
anything to that. He went to he spoke about it briefly, basically said, I don't really want to speak about it. But I never saw any effects that was like, man, that's really, really affecting him. Like, that in itself is very impressive because he's a young guy.
No, I agree.
So Jordan is a very, very valuable piece, and even though he got that contract extension, he's on a pretty team friendly contract. If
really
you look at it,
$3.5 million, you're getting 20 points a game from the guy.
Exactly. So Jordan has been an unsung hero, and if they don't have that production, who knows where they'd be.
Why do you think the general perception of him is so off base? Like, I find him to be an eccentric in terms of the way that he dresses and things like that, which I love. Young people are different. Like, older people are always going to struggle to connect to younger people, right? And I do a lot of coaching, and the way he talks, the way he acts, I see an entire generation of young kids coming up that same way. And yet I feel like a lot of the older people, when they view Jordan, they want to put him in this bucket of he's just super arrogant and he doesn't care. And I find it to be so unfair.
Kind of nasty.
Yeah, the coverage around him. You're around the team. Do you feel that same negative vibe from the coverage that's totally unfair his way?
Yeah, no, absolutely. He's a punching bag on like Twitter and whatnot, and from like the fan base. What did they do? Hashtag Dub Nation.
Yes.
Right. You know,
which is stupid. None of my friends have ever said, I'm a Dub Nation fan.
Right.
Dub Nation.
So, hey, he's a punching bag, but like you said, the consistency has always been there. He's a really, really good kid.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like, he's one of the guys who I talk to the most, like, off camera, like when we're just around the team. Like, you mentioned his style. I'm always asking him about his sneakers. Now he's been wearing the Giannis.
He's a fun dude.
He's
a fun
sponsored
dude.
by Dockers.
Right.
How many 24-year-olds are the face of Dockers?
It's good brand. I love me some Dockers.
That's Levi's brand. You know I'm all in on Dockers.
I love me some Dockers. No, now you guys are taking me back to his rookie introductory press conference when he got drafted. And I still feel like he's the same guy from that day that he is today. Now he'll get on people about slander. You know, he'll be condescending, got a presser here and there, but I don't care.
I find him to be fun.
Yeah, it's fun.
He's a lot of fun.
He's the same guy I've seen from his rookie introductory press conference to what I see now. Fun-loving guy. And last year, around this time last year, we're all talking about pool parties.
Right.
That crowd popped differently when Jordan Poole did something. There was a Steph pop, there was a GP2 pop, and then there was a Jordan Poole pop. You could say fans outside of Stephen Curry love Jordan Poole the most out of all these players. And then just 6 months later, the punch, he's arrogant, he's turning the ball over, he's slipping. It's really weird and how strange it's flipped in less than 12 months.
All you got to do is boil it down to this. Draymond, Steph, Clay, they trust him. They trust him. When things get tough and they're down in the foxhole, they're out in Boston, they're in Dallas, they trust him.
Yeah.
They trust him to make a play. They let him make plays. They'll allow him to make mistakes. If you got those guys' trust, man, nobody should question it.
No doubt.
I feel like the biggest detriment early on in the season to his game was the carrying rule. It really affected his ability to get that step back off, and then
he got targeted.
But also
100%.
once he would hit a couple of step backs, he'd fly by someone. What he's really started to regain in the last couple of weeks is that one-handed running layup that he leaves way out in front of the defender that they can't shot block. When he's at his best, he's taking a couple mid-rangers, and then he's blowing by people going to the hole.
Yeah, absolutely. And he's doing more and more of that. And if they get that pool party, Jordan Poole, like you said, that has just Chase Center going nuts, Warriors, they unlock another level.
Right.
Because that means you got like 3-4 guys who can just put points on the board in waves. And I mean, this year, Klay Thompson he's back.
Right.
You know what I mean? Like last year during the postseason run, Klay was good. But, like, this year, Klay is Klay again.
Right.
So, you know, that's one thing that I'm looking forward to seeing the postseason, too.
Yeah,
because, you know, I've been talking to Klay, and, like, you know, they're going to get through this year. But Klay is in the mindset, like, after this year, like, I want to be an all-star again.
Right.
I want to be on these all-NBA teams. Like, it's business is back as usual.
Right.
You know
but I want
mean?
to be back in the spotlight. Yeah, no doubt. He said that a lot this year. Klay Thompson, that is. We got Jason Dumas live in studio. We're having a lot of fun talking some Golden State Warriors basketball here. Wiggins is back. Of course, Dumas broke that story Friday, saying, hey, he's back in the Bay. He's back in the Bay. And it could only mean one thing. He's coming back the ball and help the Warriors defend their championship here. As the Warriors take on the Thunder tonight at Chase Center. They've been rolling at Chase Center. What do you think about Chase Center? When you came from Philadelphia, and I know the East Coast is like tough and blue collar. You're Mr. Syracuse, all you guys, Nick Friedel and everybody, you Orange. I can't stand you guys.
What are you talking about,
the
Bonte?
2-3 zone. Maybe we'll never see Syracuse run a 2-3 zone ever again.
I hated seeing UConn win last night.
Oh, you're not a UConn guy, huh?
We were Big East battles.
Oh, yeah.
Well, Boeheim walks away.
Yeah. It was time.
Yeah.
It was time.
It was time.
We can appreciate what he did, but it was time.
What do you think of the West Coast sporting scene? When you first got out here, what was your impression of it before, and what is it now?
Well, it's funny because I had spent a good amount of time in LA. I did an internship out there, so I was there for a full summer one year. This is all before I moved to the Bay, obviously. And I got to the Bay, and I was like, the Bay is way different than Southern California.
Way different.
That's the first thing I noticed.
Way different.
So when you said a West Coast sporting scene,
SoCal, NorCal, yeah,
they're
so
different.
They're completely different.
And remember, when I
territories.
first got here, I was the beat reporter for the Oakland Raiders. I was covering the Warriors at Oracle, so I was at the Coliseum and Oracle every day for months on end. So I got to see like the fabric of that fan base out there in the East Bay, and it was cool. You know, I loved covering the Raiders. I mean, you never had a dull day.
It was fun covering the Raiders.
I never had a dull day.
No doubt.
And and then I love covering the Warriors at Oracle. Obviously, that year it ended poorly with the loss to the Raptors in the final year.
That was your first year on the beat?
Yeah, that was my first.
Was that the first year?
Yeah, that was my
Damn.
first.
What a
year.
hell of a first year.
We had a lot of fun in Toronto, Dumas.
I came that summer before the season.
yeah.
That's right.
So I was there.
So you saw all the. I'm Kevin Durant. You know who I am.
Yeah. I was there for all that.
Wild year.
Yeah, TV.
My favorite. Give me the ball.
Right. Yeah, cameraman almost about to fight at practice.
That's right. Yeah.
It was crazy. I was there for all of that.
Bochy's last year.
Kevin Durant and all the burners.
It's a hell of a year.
Yeah, so I was there for all
Jimmy
that.
G Super Bowl run.
Oh, my
Dude,
God.
I mean, I tell people all the time how blessed I am to cover this market. I mean,
We've had a lot of success
you know, a Giants 107 win year.
against the Dodgers.
That was so much fun. Warriors speaks for itself.
Yes.
The Niners have always been good for the most part since I've been here. The Raiders weren't good, but they were fun to cover. Like that whole Antonio Brown saga. Like
oh,
that was
that's right. The frozen feet.
That was nuts.
Yeah.
So, you know, I'm lucky.
I want to keep talking. This is great.
Yeah. Dumas,
I think
you
the
hanging
people
out with
are
us till
loving
10
this.
o'clock?
Yeah.